Hey everybody, this is John Feuerhelm with In Your Phase Media. Thank you very much for joining me on this Wednesday hobby live stream, the glorious return of the Wednesday hobby live stream. By now, you may have noticed that my voice is not in sync with my lips. That is because I am a complete noob and managed to record this entire show with the microphone off. So now I'm going back through and having to narrate myself for my own show. So this is a unique and fun experience. Hopefully it doesn't put you off too much. And of course, because I'm not just a noob, I'm a super noob, I actually already re-recorded the voice stream over the video once this morning. And guess what? I forgot to turn the mic on the second time too. So this is actually the third time that I'm going over and doing my own voiceover. So what are we talking about this week? Well, this week we are kind of talking about the return of the hobby live stream. I've been taking a little bit of a hiatus on that. The actual format of the show really wasn't working for me. I think that an hour is a bit too long of a show, so I'm going to goal more towards 20 to 30 minutes on these shows. In addition, it wasn't working for me to basically be hobbying 1 hour a week. So I was getting demotivated on projects. So what I'm going to do now is I'm either going to do videos like this, which are hobby unboxings, which should be fun, or I'm going to kick off new projects. So I will start a build, I will explain what I'm doing with a build, but most of the build, though I will still video it, will actually end up getting posted to our YouTube channel. So you can tune in every Wednesday to see what new projects I'm kicking off, or in more extended builds, you can see me move from phase to phase of the project. But the actual meat and potatoes of how to do the details of the job of the project will be there on our YouTube channel. So hopefully these live streams are just a little more fun, a little bit more engaging, because we are kicking off new projects and looking at new material, plus shortening the show. I mean, how long can you listen to me drone on anyways? Then, for those that do want a little more hobby, or actually trying to accomplish, lighting up a model or what have you, all the details of the build will be there for you to enjoy on the In Your Phase Media YouTube channel. So anyways, that's my plans going forward. I'm still looking at a show every Wednesday. For now, I am going to shoot for every Wednesday. I might end up going to like 3 Wednesdays a month or every other week or something like that, just so that I do get little breaks here and there, but not too much. I think that just by shortening the show a little bit and then not requiring myself to do all the hobby on the show, that alone is going to make a big difference. So today, we're actually, let me get that timer set up there real quick. So you can set 20-minute timer, and that's typically what we're going to do on these shows. Talk a little bit before, kick the timer off for the meat and potatoes, the body of the show, and then maybe a little bit of talk after the timer goes off. So this week, I had the great pleasure of getting the new Kastle Krate. This is a Game Kastle hobby crate. Now, Game Kastle is a local game store. They're a large franchise in the Bay Area here. They currently have 4 different stores. This last year, they did shut down their Mountain View store, which was a huge facility where the BAO and other major tournaments have been held. Of course, nobody's getting together for major tournaments, and so everybody's had to rethink space planning. So now they've got 4 stores in the Bay Area. I know there's a store out in Sacramento, and I believe there's one in Texas, and there's actually some stores in other parts of the country. I'd have to go over to the old Game Kastle website to look up where those are. But nonetheless, this is an expanding premier game franchise, and their real focus is on gameplay area, and that's the big thing that really attracted me to the Game Kastle to begin with. Is big gameplay area means big community. Lots of community means lots of people to teach you how to play new games and to play those games with. Not to mention that the staff consistently, though the people have changed over the years, have consistently been exceptional hobbyists, really cool people with lots of knowledge and passion for the hobby. Every time I've gone there, I've learned stuff. And in particular, working with Mr. Seth Amston, the hobby sensei, and Kat, the manager, former manager of the Mountain View store, but still manager of the stores. They have been amazing people who have taught me so many things over the years, have pushed me to new limits in my hobby, introduced me to new products, new ideas. And of course, this last year, we really have not been able to go to the game store as much as we would like. Normally, I would have been at the Game Kastle 2 to 3 nights a week, actually multiple different Game Kastle stores to get with my different gaming groups. And every time I'm walking in there, I'm looking at, the new products. I'm seeing the new hobby products, the new kits that are out. I'm talking with the employees, learning about new stuff. And of course, with all of that, it's just been sitting at home. So it's not just the lack of gaming time. It's the lack of exposure to new gaming stuff that's really, really being missed. And I myself like loot crates. So you can see, in the past, I've done the Frontline Gaming loot crate. There you saw me show off the Creature Caster orc model that came in as part of that. Probably going to end up sending that orc model off to some friends. I know a lot of orc people. Nice model, but I know a lot of orc people who really enjoy that. So anyways, and so I like these loot crates. I've gotten a Star Wars one. I bought some at different Comic-Cons and stuff like that. And it's always a lot of fun. It's like Christmas. You open it up and you have this excitement of checking out some new stuff. But honestly, most loot crates, you open them up and there's like 1 or 2 things you might use. And most of what's in there is swag / junk. So that's been true for a lot of my past crate experience, particularly like, getting like just random nerd crate type stuff at comic shows. So the Game Kastle crate, the Kastle Krate, is a little bit different type of thing. It is a curated experience. So to sign up for this, and now it is a premium crate, it is a $99 crate that includes shipping. With taxes, it came out to about $109 for me. But this premium crate, when you sign up, you actually fill out a 3-page questionnaire that is a bunch of multiple choice as well as essay questions asking me, what is my experience with board games, card games, miniature games? What is my interest level in these various card games? What am I, wanting to do with them? That sort of thing. This really is a kind of them getting to know what my hobby interests are. They also talked about things like, what would my ideal crate be? What are things I want to avoid? What are my interests? What are my goals? Lots of stuff. It was a pretty thorough kind of an interview there. So it was pretty interesting the way it all came down. And so because of that, this is not your ordinary crate. This should be a crate that represents things that I am interested in. And, and Kat and Seth and the Game Kastle team, they took my interview, as it were, and then they would put together a crate that represented things that I was interested in. And I myself am not interested in card games. I don't have a lot of board game experience. I have a lot of miniature game experience, but I got a ton of miniatures, so I just, more interested in things like terrain and gameplay aids. I'm always interested in more hobby supplies, as well as literature to help me learn either new hobbies, games, or fiction related to it. So those are some of the things I related back to them. I told them that I didn't want to see anything related to Magic the Gathering, and I told them that I didn't want a bunch of junk that was going to sit around and take up space in my hobby. So this crate came in, shipped via UPS, took about 2 days after the finish of my questionnaire to send it to me, well packed. I'd say it was about 7 pounds, 5 to 10 pounds, somewhere in there, 7 pounds or so. You can see it was nicely well packed. First thing is, of course, we got a Game Kastle bag, a swag bag, shopping bag. No, this is, oddly enough, this is actually a really thick bag. So this isn't like the super cheapy ones you get at Throwaway Zone. This is a pretty thick, nice, reusable bag or groceries or what have you. And then pull the rest of the packing material out. And we see that there is a nice assortment of items stuck in there. So the first thing is we have, let's see here. This is the Warhammer Age of Sigmar Time-Worn Ruins. Now, this is a pretty cool kit for Age of Sigmar. As I had indicated in my hobby stuff, I was interested in like game aids and stuff that would help enhance my hobby. So terrain fits right into that criteria. This is a nice kit. Now, I don't own this kit yet, so that's a big deal. I wonder if they were able to even like look at my purchase history through Game Kastle and kind of say, make sure I hadn't owned any of the items that they picked. Now, Age of Sigmar is a game that does specify the amount of terrain that goes on the table, and they specifically say that you're going to have a few pieces of this scatter terrain like that, so that's a pretty nice kit. That'd be a great addition to my collection. Now here, this is a little bit of a board game or a game, and one of the things I had indicated as far as gaming was that I don't have a lot of board gaming experience, but I've played my fair share. But that I was really looking for easy to learn games that I could share with my wife. We're shut in the apartment here together for the last year, so we're some games that we could enjoy together, and then on occasion if we have some friends or family over, some again easy to learn games, especially for my not hardcore gaming friends that they might also like. So right off the bat, I see this Choose Your Own Adventure, House of Danger, based on the book by R.A. Montgomery, is a cooperative adventure game. This seems like exactly the type of thing that I'm going to want in my sort of non-miniature gaming experience. One, this is a game that can be played with one or more players. So if I can't find anybody to play a game with me, that I can do this as a solo choose your own adventure. Or hopefully my wife will be interested in joining me and playing this game, or maybe some friends, kids, whatever that come over. And we can have a nice little adventure. And of course, it's a cooperative game, and that's a big deal. It is not a good thing to compete against your wife. As I always say, you never win when you beat your wife, right? So cooperative games are the way to go. So looking forward to giving this one a try. Now, the other thing I indicated is that I like hobby supplies. I want to expand my hobby supplies, things that I know how to use. And right off the bat, we have some AK Interactive Splatter Effects Wet Mud. Now, I'm a big fan of the AK Interactive products. Seth introduced those to me a couple years ago, and pretty much most of what I do nowadays, I am using a variety of AK products, especially their weathering products, water products, the mud products. I actually don't have this particular mud product, and it looks like it's a splatter mud, so that's kind of nice. Now, for me, my sort of hobby experience starts a long time ago. I was like 9 years old, third grade, and there was a boy down the street, couple houses down, named Danny. He was a German kid, and he was about 5 or 6 years older than me, and was into building models and dioramas. So at the time, I was just really getting into doing like snap tight cars. We'd go down to the store, and even at the Safeway back then had snap tight models. So I'd get my mom to buy me a model, and occasionally I was doing a glue together model, just learning that. And so Danny and I became fast friends, and he introduced me to doing 1/48th scale World War II airplanes. And in particular, Danny was very into doing weathering and battle damage and setting up dioramas with this. So this is my sort of introduction to scale modeling, is through what Danny taught me at that age. And I always remember his bedroom. He had this whole diorama of basically like all the airplanes that he had built, hung from the ceiling with battle damage and smoke, and like a fishing line that was colored, stringing between the planes, making gunfire, and describe this whole aerial battle. And of course, I myself did a little bit of that too. Being so young, I only had a few models in my diorama. Pretty amazing. And then I actually took on doing a B-25 Mitchell that had sort of crashed with its landing gear folded under. And so I had to do a bunch of mud. And of course, to do mud back then, we would actually take Tester's enamel and talcum powder and mix it together to make our mud product. So that's why it's pretty amazing that we have these easy to use acrylic mud products nowadays, and don't get me wrong, those enamel paints, people always poo-poo on testers because they buy like, whatever, the bright gloss paints that are meant for cars instead of, they had plenty of matte, dull, lots of specialty colors. And so we would make our own mud out of enamels. In fact, I remember getting into this hobby and starting to work with acrylics, and I really doubted to myself that acrylics would have the adhesion or the color or would even work very well compared to my experience with enamels. Now nowadays, of course, I use almost exclusively acrylics, though I can actually appreciate enamels when I use them. They're still, an enamel is still a superior paint. An oil-based paint is still a superior paint to these acrylics, but modern acrylics are pretty nice. Now, this is a splatter mud effect, so you're basically going to take like a brush or a toothbrush or something like that, and you're just going to dip it in there, and you're going to spatter the bristles to flick little bits of mud on the side of something and that sort of stuff. Now, you could scoop it out and create a mud puddle probably as well, but this is really spatter mud, so it's kind of nice. And then it looks like I have a couple other paints by AK Interactive. In fact, these it's like a new label on these ones, so pretty nice. And it says they're new 3rd generation formula. And now for metallics, up until now, I have mostly been using the AK Interactive wax metals. They come in a tube, and they're kind of an oil-based metal that when you put them on, you can polish them afterwards. They are a really true metal. In fact, that's what they're called, the AK True Metals. Now, this is just a common acrylic. Now, AK Interactive does not have separate air and non-air lines that I know of. All of their paints are airbrush ready, basically, or usable in an airbrush. Obviously, you have to thin according to the size of your brush and what have you. Nice little cap on these. So I'm looking forward to trying this this brass out, so a little acrylic metal. We'll see how the AK metals compare. And then there's a couple colors for me to try, a nice blue-green and a sky blue. And if you look at these, they actually form a nice color pair. You could use the sky blue to edge highlight something that you painted in that blue-green, or if you painted something in the sky blue, then you would actually use the blue-green like a wash. So either one, those are a couple nice colors that go together. Give a chance to try those out. Now, as we get into the rest of what's in the crate here, a couple more items, and luckily there's not too many swag items. I'm not into too much swaggy junk, but this is a lanyard, just an AK Interactive ammo lanyard. And oddly enough, I'm a person who definitely uses lanyards. I often at work have to put on a my name is John kind of sticker when I visit companies. And I've had so many shirts actually ruined by those stickers, just the cheap glue on them sticking to the fabric and then getting all messed up through the washer and dryer, that I always carry my own lanyard so I can put those kind of ID labels on there and make sure they don't mess up my clothes. So I appreciate having a new lanyard, and so I'll start using that one. It'll be fine. It's pretty cool. And it's funny, I actually, also at the company I was at recently, they check your temperature to make sure you don't have Nurgle's rot. And then you get a sticker that says, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And so I went to this company on a Tuesday and got a Tuesday sticker. And the sticker, while I was wearing my jacket, it actually transferred from my jacket, from my shirt to the inside of my jacket. And then, like the next day, it came off the inside of my jacket back onto my shirt. So it was Wednesday, but I had this sticker, and I didn't even notice it, that said Tuesday on it. So I went the entire day with the previous day's sticker. It probably looked like I was wearing day-old clothes. So too funny. So anyways, looks like we got a little bit of a hobby magazine. This is an AK Interactive hobby magazine, and it's funny, these are really high quality magazines. First off, the cover is super thick, the pages are book quality. If you bought a hardbound, almost like a GW codex, this is the kind of paper stock that's actually in this magazine, because it's not really intended as a read and set aside magazine. These are hobby reference tomes. In fact, when you buy the AK Interactive books, a couple of which I have a nice one on how to do wood weathering. and I have another one on how to do like rust effects. And these AK books actually gather together a bunch of articles out of the AK magazines, and AK Action is just the latest version of the AK magazine. Somebody explained the story behind AK to me, but anyways, they seem to reinvent their brand every couple years, but it's the same people, same products. And so these magazines, again, it's not like a White Dwarf, right? These are serious sort of hobby tomes of how to do things. And when it talks about the how to do, it's not just, step 1, gather materials. Step 2, combine. Step 3, amazing finished diorama. These are detailed, step by step, with photographs, words, descriptions. A lot of times there's even a video that accompanies these articles, so you can go to their website and see that video. And it goes through, and if you have any, a little bit of hobby experience, a little bit of hobby skill, these are the kind of articles that help you level up. Right here, making a tree out of wire, putting the green stuff on, making the leaves and canopy from scratch, right? A lot of us have not done stuff like that. I certainly have not done trees like that, but there's an article that would show me how to do it. And then the magazine goes on. It shows you how to raise your table, do other terrain pieces. Here's a great article on how to do verdigris, which is great. When I did the verdigris on my Skaven, on the Vermin Lord Corruptor, he's standing on a bell, and then I've got some bells on my Nurgle army, the Great Unclean One, what have you. For that verdigris, I actually took a bunch of reference photographs on a bronze monument. In fact, the World War II monument in Washington, D.C., and I have this whole series of photographs where I took different close-ups and far away and different shots and angles of the verdigris, so that when I went to do the verdigris on my models, I had a very exact example of what real verdigris and bronze look like together. And so I was pretty excited at how all that came out, right? So it's there's something to that. The eye looks at real statues and knows they look real. And so, as Seth always likes to point out, the eye catches visual cues, and if you can give just a few visual cues, your eye will buy into the illusion of your model or diorama. And so a nice article like this from AK Interactive is, of course, great for getting us how to do some realistic verdigris. And of course, the rest of the magazine goes through different hobby things, articles and usable tips. Like here is a whole article on how to take a usually what looks horrible when it's done, an MDF building, and modify it and weather it and basically turn it into a premium piece of terrain. So that was pretty excited. So overall, here is the Kastle Krate, and pretty happy with the assortment of loot that I got in here. Again, I'm gonna get this every month, and I'm looking forward to actually now that I've opened this crate, I am actually going to go fill out a survey from Game Kastle and give them feedback. And so month by month, this crate is going to improve as it reflects what I'm interested in, what I like, and what have you. So this is a great start to the loot crate, the Kastle Krate, and I'm definitely looking forward to that. And so here we are at the end of our time. I want to thank you all for joining me in the new reinvented, reimagined Wednesday hobby night. I guess it's not the hobby hour anymore, but it's just our hobby stream. And again, thank you very much. Look for other In Your Phase media productions. Look for our podcast coming out every Friday night with the video for that podcast coming out sometime during the weekend. Every other week, we have our statistics show with Jeremy and Garrett, where they analyze the meta, who's doing well, what teams, what armies, what units, etc. Pretty amazing stuff. You can interact with those guys and ask for specific statistics if you want. We have our Sunday live stream, typically with Jeremy and Alex playing games. We have Garrett running yet another one of his tabletop simulator tournaments, and of course over on the Garrett Warhammer Tabletop Simulator Discord. And of course, I want to mention our Patreons. Thank you very much to all of our patrons. Now, our patrons, of course, get access to the In Your Phase Discord server. which is a boosted server. We got voice, we've got chat, we've got hobby discussions going over there. We also have a little behind the scenes on the show and other things to support what's going on with the show over there. So if you're interested and if you enjoy the show, please join us over on Patreon. Other than that, thank you very much. I really appreciate all of you joining me for this hobby hour. Once again, sorry for the lip sync issue. I had to record the sound afterwards. Hopefully you're enjoying with this show anyways, and I will look forward. Hey everybody, thanks for joining me for tonight's glorious return of the hobby live stream. I apologize about the audio issues there. As you know, I do record these hobby live streams typically either earlier in the day or over the weekend, so that while they're going live on Wednesday, I can handle the engineering and, of course, be the chat monkey. So again, thank you very much. I did want to take a moment to mention that after I finished filming this, I did post it up to the Game Kastle chat group that's part of the the exploring and the beginning of this entire Kastle Krate product, which is, of course, brand new. And immediately Seth pointed out to me that, hey, I missed a bunch of stuff that was in the bag that was in there, including this letter that was written to me by Kat over at the Game Kastle. And I'm not going to read the entire letter to you, but it does actually point out to me how I can combine the hobby supplies that are in the kit, and, why she gave the different things that are in there compared to my answers that were in the survey and what have you. Also mentions how much she looks forward to me running events again in the future at the Game Kastle. Believe me, I also look forward to running events in the near future, or in the future at least. Anyways, with that, folks, again, thank you very much for joining me this week for the return to the hobby live stream. I will catch you all next week on Wednesday. Until then, peace out. You all have a wonderful, wonderful week and weekend.